Hi there, and welcome to my game review for Les Misérables, Jean Valjean. In this review, I'll explain what this game is, what to expect, and if it is a game I recommend to you. Now, onto the review. What is Les Misérables, Jean Valjean? Les Misérables, Jean Valjean is a hidden object and point-and-click style game that is based around the musical and novel Les Misérables. This game particularly focuses on the story through Jean's part in the story. The game starts out with an explanation of Jean Valjean's backstory. However, the gameplay starts from the moment he encounters Bishop Muriel through to the endish of the novel. Les Misérables, Jean Valjean is a sequel to Les Misérables, Cosette's Fate. You can watch my review for it here. This game does play a lot like Les Misérables, Cosette's Fate. I feel that this game replicates the experience quite well, as there is a selection of different and at times difficult puzzles. You do also get many hidden object scenes, but on this game, unlike on Les Misérables, Cosette's Fate, it doesn't have any puzzles in the hidden object scenes. I think this is a shame, as I liked how some of the items you had to find did involve you finding a way to make them. The apple slice puzzle in Cosette's Fate is a perfect example of this. In this game, there is a large amount of backtracking, and I dislike it. Since you cannot play scenes in one go, the game will allow you to do a hidden object scene or puzzle in one area. Then when you complete it, you receive an item that is required, although in some instances, you'll have to go back areas to find another item that is needed. However, on a technical level, this game is better. Firstly, the book is now located on the left hand side rather than the right. The book is stated that it is a menu button. The game is also less buggy, and you can leave puzzles and scenes and then go back to them later. This cannot be done in Cosette's Fate because the game would freeze progress. I found this frustrating, as if your game crashes you would end up starting from scratch if it happened. Although there is various bugs present in this game, namely the bug that is present in mini-games, in which a bar at the top of the screen that acts as a timer for the game. However, if the bar goes green at the end of the bar, nothing happens. I also think that this game does have various English translation issues. I found some issues with translation. One example is when they knock out Javert at the barricades. However, in conversations in-game, Jean Valjean states he has knocked him up, but it is instead meant to say knocked him out. I also feel that the game's environments are very bland, purely because Cosette's Fate has more environmental effects, and this game does have fewer. Personally, I feel that the environments in Cosette's Fate are better. This game's environment is a downgrade from the last game, particularly because comparing this game to the prequel, this game has an uninteresting environment in comparison to the other game. For the story the game is based upon, this game does take various liberties with the story. The first part of the game is a good example of this. The game does make various changes, such as the events that happened at the Thénardiers Inn, as well as when Cosette first meets Jean Valjean and what happens during the first part of the game. The events in this part of the story also differ to the other game. In Cosette's Fate, Cosette first meets Jean when she is sent into the dark to get some water from a well. Afterwards, he then pays the Thénardiers to adopt Cosette. However, in Jean Valjean, she's serving him a meal before washing the dishes, and the two versions don't combine. But one thing I do like is how there is slides that explain what has happened during the story. I appreciated this, as this game does provide slides in which it explains the transition between what is happening to the story during the route to the next level. I liked it, but I felt it was dull, as it is in black and white and is reminiscent of older films. I think it is dull, as there are no images or a voiceover to accompany the transition. Comparing it to other story-based games, particularly the older Harry Potter games, particularly Philosopher's Stone, which is a great example. As Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, the game provided images and a voiceover explaining what was happening. The differences between the two games games with regards to explaining the story is huge. There is one aspect of the game's portrayal of a narrative that I don't like. Personally, I dislike that the game expects you to have seen the musical and or read the novel before playing the game. This is because it gives spoilers to the ending at the start of the game, which is disappointing. This game sadly also ends inconclusively. It also uses the same ending screen as Cosette's fate at the end after providing the ending as to what happens to Javert. I felt like this was a letdown, as it ends but doesn't give a full ending, as it doesn't explain what happens to Cosette and Marius, and gives a blunt version of what happens to Jean Valjean. There is no explanation to what happens to Grouch at the barricades after looking for ammunition. There is also no mention of what happens to Monsieur Thénardier both during and after his looting during the barricades. But I do like the facts given about the Les Misérables story, or the author Victor Hugo, that are provided in the game. Facts about Les Misérables or Victor Hugo appear when you click on the butterflies that are located in the environment. In short, Les Misérables Jean Valjean isn't worth buying, as it is short and completable in 2 hours. Sadly, once you have played through the game once, there is little reason to replay it, mainly because you have seen and done everything there is to do. Unfortunately, there are no new difficulty modes or extra items to unlock in the game. Despite the criticisms I have for this game, I feel that if this game is given away, is on sale, or is a part of a bundle, then I feel it might be worth spending a rainy afternoon on it. However, I don't think it is a particularly brilliant or bad game. It is just an okay game. I also feel that between the two Les Misérables games I have reviewed, even though this game is better on a technical level, as there is less bugs. However, I feel that Cosette's Fate overall is a better game out of the two games, as Cosette's Fate has environments that are more immersive and the inclusion of the puzzles used in the hidden object scenes.